Race number 2, 2016, gets underway now, so we're going to have another 10 minutes of high-energy qual here.
Yeah, after coming off injury to get back in the car at Clipsal was just unbelievable.
Oh, big crack and a massive moment into the wall, out of business for Chaz Mostert.
Feeling to start with, but to be competitive straight out the gate was another thing. I'm one of those guys that just takes the race as it comes and the qualifying as it comes. If I'm good enough in that session, I'll hopefully be up there, but I didn't really expect it to first round back after having so long off.
Mostert's come back with a great response. What a stunning comeback from one of the biggest accidents we've ever seen.
The emotions are running high, not just through myself, but through my family, you know, that put up with me a lot over the couple of months there for injury. And then also my team that never lost faith in the break as well to get me there and give me good equipment to get the job done. For me, it meant everything to see how much hard work I put into myself to get myself ready for that first round after going through rehab and physio and all that kind of stuff to get there and actually achieve a pole position straight up was unbelievable.
Was a great comeback story, and of course Chaz Mostert is in with a shot for another pole position because he's in the top 10 shootout. It is great to have our mates Shannon's back on board for 10 Motorsport this year. Look out for a great competition too, thanks to those guys a little later on throughout the show. And Shannon's Race Central, like I said yesterday, green is good, Larko.
Yep.
Let's talk about this circuit. We always say it's one of the most difficult circuits to master, even harder when it's the first weekend of the season, right?
It's got some very particular characteristics, Matt. If we have a look at them, I mean, here's our circuit. We've seen it plenty of times, 3.22 kilometres long. So that's kind of medium by our standards. But a couple of things I want to point out. First of all, if we look at a couple of our overtaking areas, or what I'd call our key overtaking areas, sure, there's other places, but this is where you get it done. Down into 9, the last corner, turn 14, and up here into 4. So by default, what that means, if I press this button, which is my critical corners, it makes turn 8 a critical one, right? And it makes this chicane very, very critical because how you approach and exit those corners defines your ability to actually overtake. Now, I'll throw into that now the speeds. Now, I want you to just register turn 8. In fact, when you look at any of my speeds on one of these graphs here, all the red ones in the middle are the slowest you go in that corner, that area of the circuit. The green ones are the fastest on the straight as you approach it. So 225 kilometres an hour is the slowest. You don't go any slower than that down there. And you get up to 243 before down to 60. So when you go from a high speed to a very low speed, that always creates a really good overtaking opportunity. So in the context of some of those speeds, one more, 160 k's an hour, that's the slowest in the middle of that chicane there that you go. So that's incredible, isn't it, when you think that is as slow as you go. So the critical corners I want to talk about. First of all, turn 8. This is arguably the toughest corner in Australian motorsport. Where you come through it at the back there, you're committed. Remember that speed I showed you enter it at? You're committed. You can't get halfway through the corner and go, wow, I've come in a little bit too hot, I'm just going to back out of it. It doesn't work like that. There's one line through that corner, and as the race day goes on, rubber builds up on the outside of the line. If you go offline, we see lots of drama. So it becomes a really critical corner because, as you see here, if you get a good run off there of just maybe 1 or 2 kilometres an hour, when you get down into turn 9, which remember we said that was a great overtaking opportunity, you can put yourself in a position for a little bit of an attack, which you can see there didn't quite come off, but you get the point. So the next one we want to look at is, I want to go down here into the chicane, have a look at the chicane. So again, coming through here, you've got to try and trim as much as you can out of this curb. This is actually turn 1. Sometimes people get a little bit hungry. This is what I call mechanical sympathy. You can't keep belting that like that all day because your under tray here creates your downforce, and if you start knocking that around, you're going to be in all sorts of drama. But what these drivers are doing is simply, if I go back to my map here, they're trying to get through this section quick so they can affect an overtaking opportunity up there. Okay, enough said about that. What I want to do now is get into one of my favourite parts of motorsport, which is liveries. Liveries are, if you like, the paintwork, the sponsor stickers, etc. on the car. Now, every year we just get better and better and better at this. So there's our full range of 2017 liveries. Now, what I like is, you've got to remember, in motorsport, The car is simply the platform to drive a whole marketing and sponsorship program from. But it's got to be really good because it is the stuff that you make all your marketing collateral from. So your statement's got to be powerful. But I can tell you, having done it, it's very hard. All your sponsors want base colours. Everyone wants their penneth worth. And it's a real challenge because you'll generally have a primary sponsor, you'll have a bunch of secondary sponsors, and then a host of third-tier sponsors. So very difficult. So, for example, Pro Drive Racing Australia, I know, have 41, 42 sponsors. Now, a couple of my favourites. I really like, the Clipsal Mega Preston Hire. You see Car Sales, Woodstock. Some of those ones that are using really powerful signs on the outside of the car. One of the golden rules, though, is you want to try, where possible, to have light-coloured writing against a dark background. Always stands out better. But my 4 favourites I'm going to show you, and they're going to pop up on my little screen here. I'm going to start, I really like the single one, I've got to say, but I'll start with Penrite as my number 4. Very simple, very powerful, and a great platform to drive your marketing from. Well done, really like that one. So that's going to pop up. My number 3, I'm going to say Bottle-O. Again, great use of base colour. They've had to integrate some other sponsors, very difficult to do, but that thing stands out. You will not miss it on the track. I like it. Next one, this could have been up higher. This is one of those ones that's kind of polarising people. When you see this thing in the flesh, the light blue flat colour, or the dark blue flat colour, is really outstanding. But for me, they didn't quite use enough of the Holden HRT thing. And my favourite, without doubt, I love this. The Mobil 1 HSV car, the Walkinshaw car. They're very cleverly incorporated sponsors that would make you think that is still Holden Racing Team. Very Brock-esque, very powerful. So look, they're just my couple of top picks. Jump on the Twitter. We're keen to see, doesn't matter what I think, we're keen to see what you think. Put your favourite one on there and we'll let you know how we go tomorrow, who comes out on top.
Use the hashtag 2017 livery and 10 Sport TV. All of those cars, by the way, will feature in what's coming up, the top 10 shootout.
Your favourite?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'll also go the DJR Penske. I like that one as well.
Yeah,
so
I'd like to see it a bit more powerful on the side there. The bonnet looks great on that car.
See how that screen doesn't work when I touch it? It's only programmed for you, isn't it?
That looks great.
Stick around. The first big question we will answer today is who gets the first pole position of 2017. At the Clipsal 500, the top 10 shootout is coming your way next on your home of big event motorsport, Network 10.
We're in Adelaide, South Australia, the capital of this fine state. Beautiful conditions down here, and the Supercars Championship for 2017, brought to you by Virgin Australia, is alive and well for another big, bright year. 26 races, more than 6,000 kilometres to come, and we're very much looking forward to the first of our 26 races this afternoon. Before that, though, a top 10 shootout, and what a star-studded lineup it is. The first car to roll down the pit lane, David Reynolds. He's in the Erebus Penrite Racing Holden Commodore. This is a brand new car for David. And our racetrack destination this afternoon, thanks to Virgin Australia on the departures board here. This is a tricky little racetrack. Slowly but surely beginning to rubber up. Reasonably hard on tyres, certainly very hard on suspension across the top of the curbs, and pretty tough on brakes as well. The longest straight where you have wide open throttle is just a little over 500 metres around here, and it gives you some indication of how busy the lap is. It's about 140 kilometres an hour as an average speed for 14 turns, 3.2 kilometres around here, and genuinely 2 or 3 very good passing spots, and you can extend that to 4 or 5 on a very good day. Typically here, the racing over the years has been very good. Supercars have been coming here since 1999, and it is a perfect place to race, right on the edge of the city precinct, surrounded by cafes, pubs, bars, restaurants, beautiful parklands, and so far we've had 3 practice sessions and 1 qualifying session, and early in the weekend, the Red Bull Holden Racing Team and reigning champion Shane Van Gisbergen's really had a battle on his hands to try and get this car to work to his satisfaction. Slowly but surely they've trimmed it up. It's working beautifully now, and he's been very fast. And a big story so far in 2017 is Shell, V-Power Racing, Scott McLaughlin, Ludo Lacroix. Those guys are on the money. Rick Kelly has jumped out of the box very quick in the Sengled Racing Nissan Altima as well. He's been fast here before. He's been a Clipsal 500 winner, and he's very, very quick. And this man on screen, Jamie Whincup, 4 Clipsal 500 victories over the years for 10 race wins. That car has been extremely quick as well. Here's the lineup of those that you'll see. It'll begin from the bottom, working up through David Reynolds, Cam Waters, second year in a row for him in a top 10 shootout. Then Mark Winterbottom, Jamie Whincup, Fabian Coulthard, Chaz Mostert, James Courtney, Rick Kelly, Scotty McLaughlin and Shane van Gisbergen. The extraordinary part of the story after yesterday's qualifying, the top 2 were separated by 1/10,000th of a second. The top 18 cars by just half a second. And as I said before, the first man to roll out here in the Erebus Penrite Racing Holden Commodore, which is a brand spanking, beautiful new car. I wandered around it yesterday. He achieved a time of 1 minute 20.1. Never had a podium at this location. Team owner Betty Klemenko, Erebus Motorsport, Daniel on her right. He's had a 5th placing here before. It's his 8th Clipsal 500. He finished strongly at the back end of 2016. Final race of the year, race number 29. He got on the podium for position number 3 to give us an extraordinary spread of champions and heroes that actually achieved a podium last year. It was quite remarkable. We had 15 of our 26 drivers that got onto the podium. So now the business of getting these new Dunlop tyres up to temperature, because this is not only a difficult art form for an individual driver, but nobody's done this yet with our new construction tyre, to understand how to get the most out of it for one single lap to determine the Armour All pole for our first race of 2017. It's welcome to my colleague Mark Scaife, who was a specialist at this business. Walk us through the protocols.
Yeah, the protocol is, you're a pioneer, Neil, aren't you? You have to arrive and understand how much grip you've got. Dave's doing a good job at the moment of warming those tyres and getting a feel for the grip level, but it's all about the innate skill. It's all about understanding when you get to turn 1, what the car feels like, what the steering weight is. There's Alistair McVeigh on the radio there, and understanding what grip level you've got is the key to the lap. Not overdoing it into turn 4 at Wakefield. There's Alistair there on the radio. And making sure that you get the front of the car in. The really critical thing at street circuits is to get the front of the car turned and make the apex. And he started the lap already. Stand by for a Dave Reynolds special.
He's already achieved 7 Armour All poles in his supercars career. Power down was good off turn 14. Starts the lap strongly. No evidence of sliding or wheel spin. Squirmed under brakes, missed the apex at 1 ever so slightly, didn't quite get it stopped. Sweeping on the exit of turn 3. You can see just how tricky it is to modulate the brake into turn 4. Now all the short shoot stuff in second gear. And this is about just being patient with your right foot. 6, straddling the curb. Yesterday, Van Gisbergen was in strife here at 7 and rotated over the top of the exit curb. And now that brief moment where you get to relax, 100% throttle, stop and think about sizing up turn 8.
I wish we had a heart rate monitor for that one, because that's the bravest, wildest corner that we for the year that we encounter.
David said to me yesterday that the car was a little nervous and 8 was bothering him. So he said, no surprise, I'm not prepared to attack it just yet. So working in behind the pit paddock area now, coming up to the final corner, turn 14 on this racetrack. Gets it turned in. Used first gear to launch off the hairpin just to punch the car out of there. And Reynolds, not a bad time. Team applauds, 120.4829. Good job. So back to turn 1. And there's just a little bit of a wriggle under brakes in here, and you can see the push in the car. You can see the evidence of the understeer there. Didn't quite turn into his satisfaction. That's typical of not quite having the tyre temp up, or perhaps the balance wasn't quite right. David's on the line. It's Neil, mate. Nice job. Well done. A 24 is actually a pretty handsome lap. Well done.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Neil. It's a little bit average, I think, in my terms, but I actually half slipped off the brake pedal at turn 1, but don't tell the boys back at the workshop.
Oh, mate, I promised to keep it a secret, but that new car's behaving well, and it looks like you're coming to terms with it.
Yeah, man, yeah, it's working really well for us at the minute, so hopefully it keeps us up through the year.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate you taking
boys.
time out to have a chat. David Reynolds, 1 minute 20.4829. Erebus Penrite Racing Holden Commodore. Our second runner today, Cam Waters, the youngster. Second time in a top 10 shootout here. He did it on Sunday in 2016. Monster Energy Racing Ford Falcon, one of 3 Pro Drive cars. 1 minute 20.05 to get his lap started. He's had a fourth at this location. It's only his second Clipsal 500. He's got a brand new engineer in Brad Busherson.
And how's the pressure of this, Neil? Trying to arrive up here over the bumps, gets it turned in nicely. 1 career pole, Barbagallo last year, a young man from Mildura. And it bounces over that curb there quite aggressively on the way out of turn 6 into turn 7. And this is the run, up to turn 8.
And it's fractionally better by 6/100ths than David Reynolds, so throwing this car around. Here's 8. Came out of the throttle briefly and then pushed wide. He was right up against the edge of the wall. Now big brake temps and tries to pull it up squarely for 9. Uses exit curve. Bit of wheel spin as he came out of there. Second timing intermediate is good for him as well. 2 green boxes for Cam Waters. It's a 19.7 in the middle of the track, so he's peeled a little bit of time out of David. Final corner, throws it over the turn 13 curb. He's battling to pull it up. He got it to the apex, wrestled it down where he wanted it. Straddles the curb on the exit. It's a good lap for Cam Waters. And it's a 1 minute 20.3785. Lost a little bit of time in the final sector.
T1, got about a 10s on Reynolds. Just remember the scales on your entry, mate.
Brad Busherson, and here's the view of turn 8 from the other angle. Look at the understeer. Look at those front tyres. Front left is straining under the load as he brings steering angle on the car to try and get it to rotate, and then nothing at all on the outside of the car here. Check out the left rear of the car.
Yeah, it was very close, wasn't it? But it went from what you said, from an understeer set to when he got back on the throttle, it actually turned to oversteer right near the end, didn't it? So it was quite difficult to control. Yeah, very, very close to the fence. But a good effort from Cam Waters to do that.
Our next runner, Mark Winterbottom, Botlow Racing Team Ford Falcon, the second of the Pro Drive cars. This is a brand new car, 1 minute 20.05. Twice he's been second here. He's had a couple of front row starts he's never had. A Clipsal 500 pole. His last podium back in 2012, he ran slightly wide of the mark at 1, just. His 14th Clipsal 500, and also a new engineered combination with Brendan Hogan.
Nice through turn 1 and 2. Nice flow from Frosty. Uses a lot of curb there. Runs it very wide. There's a couple of different styles that the guys use from turn 5 to 6. And he's up by almost 0.3 of a second. Very good job. Great pace from Winterbottom. A late 27's the best we've seen in Sector 1. So it's a 28.02.
When you're up 0.3 in a 28-second sector, that's a very big chunk pro rata. Nice job through turn 8 for Frosty.
Can he get it stopped? Turn 9, he's dropped a little bit of time. Turn 8, but he got it to the apex. Nice exit, not too much wheel spin. This is a tricky left-hander. Turn 11, a lot of inside curb.
And a lot of brake locking for many runners, particularly yesterday when the track was a little dirtier. 35 Armour All career poles for Mark Winterbottom, approaching the final corner now. Sector splits for him are very good. The first sector was brilliant. He's a little slower than his teammate Waters in the mid-sector, but what does it add up to now? He's staring at the dashboard. We're looking at computer timing, and he's up. 1 minute 20.0. Tantalisingly close to a 19.
That's actually 400s better than his time from qualifying. So that's an excellent job by Mark Winterbottom. This was beautiful, Neil. He had it on the slide. The wheels were just almost locked, and the left-hand wheel was perfect. Frosty Muckscaife, great job. Perfect lap, very, very smooth, used all the road.
Well, perfect, mate. I don't know about perfect, but you're being kind to me, but car was good then. We're making progress, but yeah, having fun, mate. This is a cool track, new tyres working well, and I think we'll get done, but the shootout's the lottery, so we'll fingers crossed we can hang on.
Great stuff. Good luck this afternoon.
Next up, Jamie Whincup. Red Bull Holden Racing Team. This is a brand new car. He qualified in the 19s, a 1:19.89. 4 times Eclipse 500 champion, 6 times a series champion, 4 Bathurst victories, 10 race wins and 7 poles on these parklands. It's his 14th Eclipse 500 and he starts his lap fully committed through the chicane. 29 races, Scafey, for 100% finishing record at this place.
Extraordinary numbers. And didn't he attack turn 1 hard? He used a lot of road off the turn 2 curb, and that may have actually cost him a little bit of time. So we'll give you the sector in a second. 28.0 was best for Winterbottom. He uses all the road and more down into turn 7. It's cost him almost 3/10.
So the marker for the first sector is a 28.02 for Winterbottom, and Whincup just did a 28.3. He was the fastest in practice 3 earlier today. It was a qualifying rehearsal. Big commitment through 8. Awesome shot on arrival and departure. Nothing left under brakes into 9 for Whincup. Huge brake temperatures and very quick on the approach at 245 kilometres an hour. This is the tricky left-hander that Mark spoke about. Yesterday we saw him with absolutely no space on the right-hand side of that car at all.
Can you get it stopped? Just over 200k on the approach to turn 14, back to 65 kilometres an hour.
I think he used second through there as well.
Yep.
What's the time look like for Jamie? P2, 1:20.1. Got stronger as the lap wore on.
Nice job, mate. Nice job. Cool it off there. And when you come into pit lane, looking for the scales, please, mate.
David Couchy, engineer. So here's the replay down at turn 1, and you talked about how deeply committed he was into here, Mark, and there's the apex. It just pushed on him at the wrong moment, and it just made him a little wide over the top of 2. He's on the line at the moment. Jamie, it's Neil. Position number 2 for you on a 20.1. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, not the cleanest lap I've done, but hopefully it's there or thereabouts. Top 2 rows would be nice.
What was the car like?
Car was good. Car was good, as you said. It was just a little bit wide at first chicane. Dropped some time there, but back up the lap seemed pretty good.
Thanks, mate. Have a good run today.
Thank you. Cheers.
Looks very relaxed. Looks very relaxed, doesn't he?
He does. He's super fit at the moment. Fabian Coulthard, next driver on. Shell V-Power Racing Ford Falcon. Year 2, Dick Johnson Racing Team Penske. Got in with a 1:19.89. A pole here on Sunday last year. His 11th Clipsal 500. And big expectations surrounding this team, and he's off to a very strong start.
Can he get it stopped? He battled then, Neil. It was over those wavy bumps at the end of Wakefield Street, and it was twitching under brakes. He just got it slowed enough to be able to turn it. So a nice start. And what does the first sector look like for Fabian Coulthard? Armour All pole position that we're contending now with our top 10 guys, and he has done a 28.05, 0.03 away from Winterbottom.
It's close.
It is very close, only 300ths away, and a beautiful job there at turn 8, and that was the fastest. That's a 19.6, fastest second sector. He flowed the car absolutely beautifully. Remember, he's a left foot breaker that suits turn 8.
It looked fabulous in the mid-sector, didn't it? It did have great mid-corner speed through 8. He's only got a couple of corners to run now, and the best sector 2 speed that we've seen of any driver. On the provisional pole at the moment is Mark Winterbottom. Fabian Coulthard is threatening. Couldn't quite get it where he wanted it at the final corner, but very close. It's Winterbottom, Whincup and Waters at the moment, and Coulthard now to the top. He cracks a 19, big time.
19.61.
Phil Key does the commentary. It's a 19.61. Well done, boys. That's a number. Ludo lit up as well. Boy, that was strong in sectors 2 and 3. That car came on, and he's on the line. Fabian, it's Neil. Well done. That is a brilliant time in a shootout.
No worries, boys. Pretty happy with the car. This Shell V-Power Racing team's been working very, very hard in the off-season, and it's all a credit to them.
Gee, mate, it looked good at turn 8. The thing flowed through there beautifully, and we're watching your crew on screen. They're jumping for joy.
Mate, they deserve to be. They've worked very, very hard, so hopefully we can get it done in the race.
Thanks, Fab.
Well, that was maximum commitment, Neil. That was a beautiful job at turn 8.
He's got 0.4 on Mark Winterbottom at the moment. Near enough to half a second. That's a fair number. Chaz Mostert is our next runner.
He's going to take some beating with that number.
He is. Super Cheap Auto Racing, Ford Falcon, the third of the Pro Drive cars. It's a 19.86 that got him in. He's got a new engineer, but he's a familiar face in Adam DeBore. As he lines up on the straight, 2017, 20 years of supercar racing for Super Cheap Auto. It's only his 4th Clipsal event. Pole here in race 2 in 2016. And remember his astonishing run for Armour All poles last year. He got 5 of them.
He had a very, very big bounce off the curb at turn 2. He gathered it up. He was hard in the throttle, and he's actually up at this stage. He looked really aggressive in the braking area at turn 4. He uses all the road, and this is the fastest first sector for Mostert. A 27.93. First guy into the 27s. And what does he do now for turn 8? Check this out. This is bravery, commitment. Give you the next number in a second. 19.8. It's about 1.5 tenths slower than Coulthard in that sector, and it's nothing in it.
But he had almost that 1/10 up in the first sector on Coulthard. So depending on how this third sector plays out now, these two are going to be extremely close when he gets to the control line. They're watching micro sectors. Nathaniel Osborne is closest to camera. Adam DeBore is sitting down, probably not breathing at the moment. They've got great chemistry, these guys. They're watching it, Shell V-Power Racing. They're watching it Super Cheap. We're all watching for the number, and it's close, but not quite. A 1 minute 19.8 for Mostert.
That is exactly the same time as he did.
With that lap. Just cool it all off, and obviously remember to stop at the scales on your way in.
Exactly the same time as he did to get into the top 10 shootout. So anytime he can replicate that, that's an excellent job. Sensational performance in the first sector. Fastest car, 27.93. Lost a little bit in sector 2 and lost a little bit, 2 tenths in the braking area down into turn 9.
James Courtney, car number 22 for Mobil 1 HSV Racing, the Holden Commodore. A 1 minute 19.86 to get into the shootout. Working with engineer Terry Kerr as he did at the back end of last year, twice a Clipsal 500 winner. His 12th Clipsal event. He's had 3 race wins here for a couple of poles. That battle on Saturday last year here with Jamie Whincup was an industry highlight. Turn 1, nice, absolutely hit the markers.
Hasn't had a pole since 2015 at Homebush, but he's a dead-set street race specialist in terms of his commitment. Car works well on these sorts of circuits. Remember that incredible battle with Whincup last year. Just give you your first number.
Timing intermediate 1 between turns 6 and 7.
28.04.
He's right there. So Mostert's been the quickest in that sector at a 29.7. Coulthard, who's on provisional pole at the moment, was 28.05. So there's only 1/100th between Courtney and Coulthard. Look at that through 8. That rearward shot showing there was no space at all from the left rear to the concrete block. Turn 9, he hit the markers there. He's got a little bit of wheel spin on exit. It danced twice on him on the initial application and then a secondary slide. Used the apron on the exit of turn 11, and the mid-split Scapey is close, but about a 10th away from Coulthard. There's Fabian, top right of screen. Adrian Burgess, Ryan Walkinshaw, Terry Kerr, Mobil 1 HSV Racing. Control line now for Courtney and P3. 1 minute 19.9. That's still a very good lap. 3 drivers now in the 19s.
That was a very nice lap.
Okay,
Slightly down sector 2
at the moment.
and 2 tenths down in sector 3. But this is what you commented on. It was beautifully positioned there. Almost no steering lock on also. Rode the bump nicely. And this was what you said. No road left at turn 8. So beautiful job. That is just beautiful car control, maximum commitment. And we always talk about risk versus reward. That's the highest risk you can take.
Slowest mid-corner speed, I remind everybody, in turn 8, it's about 225 kilometres an hour. Dancing a tonne and a half of race car off your fingertips. Fantastic. Rick Kelly, car number 15, Sengled Racing, Nissan Altima. 1 minute 19.86 as well to get in. 2007 Clipsal 500 winner. He's had a pole here It's his 16th Clipsal. He's a veteran at the location with 20 top 10 finishes, and he's been quick all weekend in this car.
He's had 8 career poles, and he has looked, from the time they've wheeled this car out, he has looked sensational. He was fastest at Sydney Motorsport Park for the official test day, and the car looks to be very well balanced and suits the new tyre. Using all the road again, Rick Kelly. Let's have a look at this first sector. Slightly down, 0.07.
Had a little slide off the exit of 6, and then there was a momentary lock of the inside front into turn 7 as well. Turn 8 now. Using quite as much exit space as Courtney. And the split reflects it, so he's 0.4 down in the mid-sector on Coulthard. His first sector split, though, was right on the money. It was very close to the best we've seen. Into turn 11 now.
And remember, although qualifying is always important, very long race this afternoon, so Rick Kelly using a sensible approach to this. He's not out of control. He's not throwing it around too hard. He's been pretty conservative. And this number will put Rick Kelly down in 6th position at this stage with 2 more runners. Is Todd Kelly looking on?
Oh, mate, good job. Nice clean lap. P6 at the moment. P6.
And that's what it was. It was a nice clean lap.
George Commons, his engineer.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
So Rick apologising. There's nothing to apologise about. He's got a straight car and a fast car, and he's embedded right in the middle of the top 10 cars at the moment. Replay of him down here on the super slow-mo at 1, and he's actually given the tyres just a gentle brush down there. But understand that the drivers are turning in and pitching and sliding these cars from the best part of 70 or 80 metres out when they do that. It's a trajectory that they have to imagine to understand the slip angle of the tyre. Isn't that a cool shot on the exit of turn 11? Now this will be fireworks potentially, because yesterday Scott McLaughlin was quick in qualifying. There was nothing between he and Shane Van Gisbergen. Shell V-Power Racing, it's a brand new Ford Falcon for Dick Johnson Racing Team Penske. He did a 1 minute 19.78 to get in. He's had 2 front row starts. It's only his 5th Clipsal 500. That epic battle in 2014 that brought that crowd to its feet. He's got a new team, a new engineer in Ludo, and he's got an astonishing record here, qualifying and finishing. Let's see what he can produce.
Oh, that was massive over that curb. It was right out sideways. He was hard in the throttle. Shows the level of commitment from McLaughlin. He's had 17 career poles, the young Kiwi. And uses a lot of curb down there at turn 5. Slightly conservative on the exit so he can get back to the left-hand side of the road. We'll give you the first one now. 27.94. That's 1/100th slower than Mostert's fastest first sector. So it's a great start to the lap for McLaughlin.
And all but a carbon copy of his teammate Fabian Coulthard. Turn 8 now. Back in the throttle hard and had a little bit of oversteer on the exit, so McLaughlin throws it at the concrete wall down there, and the time reflects it. He's done a 19.5 in the mid-sector of the racetrack, the best we've seen so far.
But he just locked the rears at turn 9. He ran wide. I reckon that may have cost him too much, Neil. So he lost 0.2 of a second.
And
in
Ludo
turn
knows
9.
it. Ludo's shaking his head. This is going to be a nail-biter to the wire. 1 corner remaining. He didn't get it turned in at 14. He missed the apex down there. Tried to force the speed. Coulthard's watching. This is going to be close. He drops in at 5. He lost a lot of time in the back sector.
Job, thank you. Good job.
That was a mighty performance in Sector 2. And then the little break nip down into the hairpin, followed by the rush into the final corner, stung in the end. Scotty McLaughlin's on the phone. Hey, Scott, it's Neil. Well done. Wild lap, mate. Full commitment.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, just stuffed up into 9 there, so a bit disappointed.
Yeah, the mid-sector time, though, was brilliant, mate. We saw you have that pinched moment down in there. What happened? Just too hungry?
Yeah, just locked the rears just at the wrong moment, but yeah. Oh well, that's how it goes.
That's showbiz. Thanks, mate. Appreciate you chatting to us. Have a good run today.
Thanks, cheers.
He actually lost 0.6 of a second to Coulthard. 31.92 versus 32.53. So it's a massive loss in the last sector.
Shane Van Gisbergen. Red Bull Holden Racing Team, a brand new Holden Commodore, the reigning Virgin Australia Supercars champion. Home by 1/10,000th of a second in quali. 1 minute 19.78. Clipsal champion of 2013. His 10th event here. He's had 3 Clipsal poles, 5 podiums, more Armour All poles last year than any other driver, more race wins last year than any other driver. Home in the championship by 200 points. 18 podiums from 29 races last year, Scapey.
And his last pole was at Homebush last year, and we always talk about his affinity with street circuits. He was close to getting a curb hop at turn 1, then he used every bit of road over the turn 2 curb. He looks very impressive. The car looks very good. It's very accurate, and that's the number. It's the fastest first sector by a margin.
Wow.
27.86. Now, what's he do for turn 8? He'll already know on his dash that he's up. Do you take the big risk and fire it in there, or do you slightly conserve? You don't slightly conserve.
I don't think Shane Van Gisbergen's got that phraseology in his programming. Great numbers. Best sector we've seen in the first sector. Great job in the second sector to be super close to the guy that's on the provisional pole at the moment, Coulthard. Both squads are not daring to blink at the moment. Shell V-Power Racing, Red Bull Holden Racing Team. This is going to be about a millimetre or 2 as they cross the control line. The reigning champion squares up, trying to get the car off the corner cleanly. And Van Gisbergen grabs another pole. A 1 minute 19.5. Pole for Holden, pole for Red Bull. And the champion picks up where he left off.
What a sensational lap. Level of commitment from the time he turned the wheel at turn 1 and the way he was on the throttle off turn 2. There's Roland. Well done, Shane Van Gisbergen. Sensational job. First pole of 2017.
Oh man, that was pretty awesome. I knew it was going to be tight. I knew on the reference what I had to do, but oh man, that's pretty cool. So stoked. Thanks to our guys. Hopefully it goes good this afternoon.
Yeah, all the best for this afternoon. That was a sensational lap. We're just watching vision of it now, but how's this? This was so close over the turn 2 curb, but he was hard in the throttle, Neil. And this one also, I love the way, and you said it before, it's not in his programming to conserve. He just attacks, doesn't he?
It's great. It's great to watch. 2 great drivers, 2 great teams, separated by 4/100ths of a second in a shootout. So he's looking at the reference. He's staring down at the dash. He looked at the number and he knew what he had to nail. How's the reaction? It means a lot.
Good job,
Grant McPherson, Mark Dutton, David Couchy, Jamie Whincup, they all applaud. Big emotion. Big one for the Kiwis. Big one for Holden fans. And great for all of us to witness that shootout. How cool was that? 4/100ths of a second, the official margin between Shane Van Gisbergen and Fabian Coulthard. How's the Kiwis?
How are they going? Qualifying record there for, and it's his own qualifying record actually. How's that? 19.57.
So Van Gisbergen over Fabian Coulthard, and then Chaz Mostert and James Courtney. Row 2 start for them. Mark Winterbottom and Scotty McLaughlin out of positions 5 and 6. We've set the top 10 now. Whincup and Kelly, then Cam Waters and David Reynolds. So a great mix of personalities, cars, teams in our top 10. And that sets up a beautiful afternoon for us. 78 laps of racing around this track, 250 kilometres. This is going to be a special moment for Van Gisbergen. Let's soak it up.
There is the down about to.
A lot of attention, justifiably so. Grant McPherson, Roland Dane. Great job. 4/100ths of a second for that pole position in his favour. Did you see him staring at the dash to understand it? It's his 16th career pole. Another Armour All check will go to Shane Van Gisbergen. Brilliant performance.
Chaz Mostert, the 55 Superchip Auto racer, was very good out there, mate. Great lap, really. I mean, very, very strong. Got pipped by a couple of blokes, but you've got to be happy.
Yeah, those front 2 guys, they were bloody quick. Yeah, to do a 5 and a 6, that's full commitment. So, yeah, pretty happy with my lap. Didn't really put a foot too wrong. You know, looking back on it, there's always a spot where you think you can pick up a 10th or 2 there. But, you know, it's been a pretty good start to roll out to the year. You know, obviously a new direction for us, getting Adam back. We're trying pretty hard off the track as we are on the track. So we'll see if we can keep fine-tuning it. keep making it a little bit better. I know there's a little bit more in the car and maybe a little bit more in myself, but those guys at the front, they're quick.
Yeah, they are, but you've got some work to do, and I know you're wanting to make sure you get back up the top there. You mentioned before Adam de Boer, you've got him back in the car with you this year. 2015 was a strong one. A little bit lacklustre last year, not any disrespect to the engineer you had, but that relationship you've got with Adam is a really good one, and you've enjoyed that in the past.
Yeah, it was definitely good for me to work with someone new last year and see their aspect and the direction they want to go with the car. So it's also good to get a bit of continuity back with Adam back at the team and see what he's learned over the last 12 months too. So, maybe in the break we'll duck down to Super Cheap Auto, get some bits off the shelf and chuck it in the car and see how we go.
Tune her up, buddy.
Tune her up. Cheers, guys.
Nice job, Chaz Mostert. Armour All pole position winner for our first race of 26 for 2017 goes to Shane van Gisbergen. He moves his pole tally in his great supercars career on to 16, and he continues the love affair with this racetrack. What a committed lap. Scapey wasn't sure whether or not he'd be able to get the job done through the mid-sector there in turn 8, and it was an emphatic performance throughout the entire lap. He came home by 4/100ths of a second. Rihanna.
Congratulations, Shane van Gisbergen. I think that's your 26th straight top 10 shootout, your 16th pole position. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, pretty awesome. I knew what Fabian's time was, fastest time of the weekend, so it was going to be tough, but track was grippy after that race, and car's awesome. So thanks to my guys here. Car's got better and better all weekend, but race to come, so looking forward to that.
We love a little bit of drama in television, and we love that you're already setting up a little bit of a rivalry between yourself and DJR Team Penske, so thanks for that.
It's not from my end. It's great to have competition. 2 Kiwis or 3 Kiwis up front. It's pretty awesome for us.
And a little bit of money from Armour All, $1,000. So from Vera Gerard, thank you very much. Enjoy the race this afternoon.
Highlights time now for the top 10.
Big changes are coming to Formula One. And Australia is the first stop for a new look season that promises to shake up the World Championship like never before. New cars, new regulations, different drivers. The reigning world champ retired. Even Bernie is gone. But Daniel Ricciardo's Red Bull team is firmly placed to take the fight to Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. 3 massive days of coverage, March 24, 25 and 26. The 2017 Formula One Rolex Australian Grand Prix, live and in HD on 10.
Cannot wait for the new look Formula One cars to come our way in a few weeks' time from Albert Park, live and free on 10. And somebody who has F1 experience in this pit lane and paddock is this lady, Simona Di Silvestro. A wealth of international experience, more than 60 races in the IndyCar Championship, and number 78 was the number that she used when she finished on the podium in Indy. She has signed a 3-year deal with Nissan Motorsport and Harvey Norman backing to become the first full-time female driver in our category in some 40 years. I caught up with Simona recently to find out what kind of mark she wants to leave in this championship. Well, Simona, you have driven a supercar before, but never for a full-time season. Are you a nervous person? Because there's a lot to be nervous about.
Well, I usually am pretty nervous, but I think this year, and especially starting the season here, it's just, it's all so new that I can't really, put any expectation or anything like that.
Tell us the Simona story. How does a girl from Switzerland find herself driving in some of the most famous categories in the world and now full-time in the supercars?
It's interesting because actually in Switzerland racing is banned, so we don't have any tracks or anything. So, I was really lucky that my parents really also gave me the opportunity. They've really let me try whatever I wanted when I was little, and I was playing tennis and go-karting and things like that, and that's how I grew this passion about racing. And when I was 17, I left for America to go racing there, so you just have this dream about being in a race car and going racing, and you would do anything for it.
Swiss female driver. This is Simona's day.
My career has been pretty interesting. I've made it to Indy cars, which is quite special because many drivers dream about going into that category. And then I've driven a Formula 1 car, which is not something everybody gets to do. So now, you know, I'm looking forward to really getting established here in supercars and have a long career, and also, you know, be counted as one of the top drivers here in the future.
First time you drove a supercar, what were your impressions?
Well, the biggest thing for me was actually sitting on the right side, because that was really strange to me. In Switzerland, you know, on the road car, we always drive on the left side. We're sitting on the left side, so that was something really strange. And that's also something I really struggled even at Bathurst, is just having the width of the car that I'm not used to, because in an open wheel I'm in the middle, so it's much easier to kind of have your bearings around. And I think the thing that impressed me the most was actually how fast the supercar is. That was actually quite shocking, I thought. The cornering is a little bit different. It moves around much more than what I'm used to. But I think as a driver, it's quite cool because you can do so many inputs yourself to really maximize the corner.
What about the female factor? How important is it for you to be able to give the message out to Australian fans that females can race? What did you say? Gender doesn't make any difference when you're going into a corner at 225 k's an hour.
Yeah, exactly. You know, for me, yes, I'm a girl, but I've always been passionate about racing cars, and if you're passionate about it, then just go for it. And I think that's really what's important, and that's what I've always been about throughout my career.
When this deal went from a one-off at Bathurst to discussions about a full-time deal and then a 3-year factory deal, I mean, was it something that you'd honestly planned?
Well, I wouldn't say I planned it or anything, but definitely I think supercar has always kind of been on my mind. I think it's on the mind of a lot of drivers racing around the world because it's such a good championship. Getting this deal done with also the 3 years was something really important to me, to have a place where I can grow.
How did you explain supercars to especially the people back home at Switzerland? I'm off to this new job. How did you explain it to them?
Yeah, well, I talked about supercars and Bathurst, and it's actually quite impressive how many people, for example, know about Bathurst. And telling my friends and all that I'm going to Australia, I think the first thing they were thinking is going surfing, you know, when they come and visit me. So you also only live once, and when you get an opportunity like this, you have to kind of take it with both hands and take the maximum out of it.
And some drivers like to, you know, set the goals. I want to be top 10 this year or top 15. I want to qualify better. Is it just I want to improve the whole way?
I think, to be honest, after this first race and maybe the second one, I'll know where I'm at, and then I really then know what I can aim for. These little things that I have to first figure out, and then I think we can start talking results. The level is really high, so, you know, I'm just going to have to fight for it, and hopefully it'll go well.